In Venezuela, the government seized more than 1,100 boxes of explosive material destined to be used by the far-right in terrorist actions. Argentina President Milei insisted that he would continue with his fiscal policy of adjustments and cuts in public spending, justifying his vetoes against the social welfare laws approved by Congress. And in Palestine, Israeli forces killed more than 70 people in attacks on the Gaza Strip over the past 24 hours. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Saturday, the Minister of the Interior, Justice and Peace of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, denounced details of terrorist operations aimed at creating destabilization in the country. Mr. Cabello referred to the attempt by the extremist opposition allied with criminal gangs to detonate a bomb in Plaza Venezuela. The action was thwarted by coordinated action and an in-depth investigation by the authorities. The minister said that they investigated the report of foreign material in warehouses in the city of Maturin and explained that what they found is alarming due to the extremely destructive power of the materials. In this regard, Cabello highlighted that so far 8 people have been arrested. However, state security agencies are searching for another 12 linked to the far-right Representative Maria Corina Machado.
They wanted to detonate a bomb, a high-power bomb, in Venezuela Square, which could have killed quite a number of Venezuelans and which would have left a very strong psychological impact. We are committed, the President and all of the authorities are committed to continue investigating that incident because we have strong intelligence bodies. And some people alerted us that here in the city of Maturin, they had seen certain strange materials. And we carried out, through the police, an investigation, the armed forces, and we have come to this industrial site. It's been a team effort, and what we found here, it's alarming, considering the high destructive power of the stuff being kept here. We have started an investigation, and Venezuelan people know that we are very professional. We have 8 people detained already, and we are searching for 10 or 12 more individuals.
And in Venezuela, Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello, reviewed the progress of the investigation into the large shipment of explosives intended for terrorist acts in the city of Maturin.
When this empty charge gets into the tank, it breaks up and kills the people inside. All of these are empty charges, empty shells. And there's a lot of secondary explosive charges, electric detonators, wires to connect everything, systems of empty shells, cell phones, all of this was kept here. I want to alert the Venezuelan people considering the dangers of this, the danger associated to this, and how much damage this material could cause to the people of Venezuela. We know that those responsible for this are directly linked to Maria Machado. None of this is spontaneous. This is planned by the U.S. empire to hurt Venezuela.
On Saturday, Venezuelan lawmakers unanimously condemned the recent attacks by the White House against Venezuela and its authorities. In a statement read by the National Assembly's President, Jorge Rodriguez, lawmakers rejected the absurd actions announced by the U.S. Attorney General's office against Venezuela's constitutional president, Nicolas Maduro, and the Bolivarian people. The President of the National Assembly described the U.S. actions as old and useless formulas of imperialism with the aim of disturbing the country's peace. Rodriguez asserted that Venezuela is not only the safest country in the continent, but also the one with the best emerging economy.
Y lo hacemos con la convicción. Rechazamos las absurdas y desesperadas.
We reject the absurd and desperate actions announced by the United States Attorney General's office, which are clearly illegal and without any real basis beyond an attempt at delusional aggression against the constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and against our revolutionary and brave people. These operations have no other purpose than to once again encourage extremist groups and the region to resume the violence that has been defeated and will be defeated and will continue to be defeated across the board by our government and our people.
Likewise, lawmakers expressed their full support to President Maduro in the defense of the homeland, considering him to be the guarantor of peace.
This legitimately elected and diverse parliament supports the constitutional president and expresses our absolute conviction to accompany him in the defense of our sacred homeland.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro revealed that his government has begun talks outside the country with the self-proclaimed armed group Gaitanista Army, also known as the Gulf Clan. During a speech delivered in the Department of Cordoba, the president asserted that the talks must have a concentration on social objectives in the territories and legal agreements that must be established with the Attorney General's office, first and foremost, and with the judges. The Colombian president also assured that the characteristics of this process of talks differ from those established in the past. Petro traveled to Cordoba to attend a ceremony to give 16,000 acres of land to farmers in the region.
We have initiated conversations outside of Colombia with the self-proclaimed Gaitanista Army. We are trying to cut off the finances of the groups that fuel violence in many regions of Colombia. Today we are talking about illicit economies, cocaine, perhaps the largest. So this must be discussed at the negotiation tables. If it is possible to peacefully dismantle drug trafficking in Colombia so that there can be peace.
We have a first break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. I'm going to be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. This Saturday, they will observe the International Day of Indigenous Peoples, established by United Nations to recognize and to protect the rights of indigenous communities. Every August 9th, people gather to mark the importance of human rights and the nature of indigenous communities. In recent years, social movements have called for the acknowledgement of the cultural values of indigenous groups and to guarantee the protection of these communities. Venezuela joins this commemoration with an international meeting of indigenous peoples for the defense and for the rights of Mother Earth held in Caracas. In Argentina, President Javier Milei insisted that he would continue with his fiscal policy of adjustments and cuts in public spending, justifying his vetoes against the social welfare laws approved by Congress. The president lashed out at legislators in confrontation that was described as unprecedented in the history of Argentine politics. Milei said that the successive approvals of social projects in both legislative chambers put the country's fiscal surplus and economic stability at risk. The president announced two draft bills that he will present to Congress, one to prohibit the Treasury from financing primary expenditure with monetary issuance, and the second to penalize the approval of national budgets with fiscal deficits. These adjustment policies occur in an inflationary context and the disbursement of a new loan from the International Monetary Fund.
Esto implicaría un aumento del gasto público equivalente a una IPF por año.
And in the United Kingdom, anti-racists mobilized on Friday to resist those who are trying to spread hatred and racism throughout the country. Protesters opposing immigration and racism clashed in London during the latest in a series of protests outside hotels housing asylum seekers. The protest coincided with the organization of Asylum Free Day by far-right groups protesting at hotels across the country in several localities. The anti-fascists outnumbered the fascists despite being insulted by fascists and far-right thugs. The counter-protesters remain firm. In Greece, an out-of-control forest fire has claimed one life and burned down dozens of homes southwest of Athens. The incident was reported on Friday afternoon, but no details were given about the possible causes of the fire. More than 190 firefighters with 44 trucks, 7 helicopters, and 11 water bomber aircraft are fighting the flames of this fire, which has been fueled by strong gusts of wind. The charred body of an elderly man was found in Togani, a town near Kretea, 29 kilometers from the center of the capital. The Spanish Operational Coordination Center ordered the evacuation of 2 towns due to the spreading of a forest fire in the province of Avila. Authorities reported that the evacuated homes are located in mountainous areas, which has made fire extinguishing work difficult. However, emergency teams are working to prevent damage and ensure civil safety. During this Friday, nearly 70 workers are carrying out air and ground activities to extinguish the fire. And 15 people have died and 28 are missing in the Chinese province of Gansu due to the floods. Emergency services reported that heavy rains forced more than 10,000 residents to evacuate the area in an emergency response due to the natural disasters. At the same time, authorities deployed more than 2,700 personnel and 960 vehicles to continue search and rescue efforts. The Chinese government urged the acceleration of rescue, prevention, and relief efforts following the latest landslides, river flooding, and flooding in Gansu province. And in India, at least 8 people, including 2 children, have died after a wall collapsed southeast of New Delhi due to torrential rains hitting the country. Authorities say several people have been injured while others were trapped under the rubble. Firefighters and local police rushed to the site of the collapsed building to rescue the victims and to take them to the nearest hospital. Since rains have intensified, police ordered residents in risk areas to evacuate to avoid such incidents. Now for our second short break coming up, before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Fun short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Palestine, Israeli forces killed more than 70 people in attacks on the Gaza Strip over the past 24 hours. Health authorities report that another 314 Palestinians were injured and transported to the few health centers that are still operational. In addition, medical sources warned that the death toll could rise in the coming hours as several victims remain trapped under rubble. Since Israel broke the ceasefire in March 2025, at least 9,824 Palestinians have been killed, most of them women and children. And health authorities in the Gaza Strip reported the death of 11 Palestinians due to the famine campaign promoted by Israeli forces. According to official data, malnutrition in children under 5 years old doubled between March and June 2025 as a result of the Israeli blockade on foreign aid, which threatens the lives of hundreds of infants in the Palestinian territories. Since Tel Aviv controls the entry of humanitarian aid, more than 212 Palestinians lost their lives, including 98 children. In the Gaza Strip, local authorities denounced the illegal imprisonment of at least 10,000 citizens by Israeli occupation forces. According to data from the organization Palestinian Prisoners, the list of prisoners includes 450 minors and 29 women. They also say that at least 76 of those prisoners have been killed by Israel since the start of the attacks on the Gaza Strip. Palestinian authorities warn of increasing repression in prisons and about Palestinian prisoners being prevented from meeting their basic needs. And in Paris, France, thousands of people mobilized in rejection of Israel's plan to take full control of the Gaza Strip. During protests, citizens condemned the hunger crisis plaguing the Palestinians caused by restrictions on humanitarian aid by the Zionist regime. The French demanded an immediate ceasefire and sanctions against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government and its Western allies. The Israeli Security Cabinet voted to expand military operations to take control of Gaza under the pretext of ending the genocidal war. In the United Kingdom, London police arrested over 300 people demonstrating in support of Palestine and against Israel's expansionist plans. On Saturday, protesters marched through central London carrying Palestinian flags and banners with the slogan, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," while demanding an end to the Israeli aggression on the Gaza Strip. There are reports of at least 365 arrests among those peaceful demonstrators who might be facing up to 14 years in prison for supporting the Palestinian people and cause. And in Sudan, refugee camps are on the alert due to a nuclear outbreak in the Darfur region. The United Nations has warned that refugees lack access to drinking water, which worsens already difficult living conditions and increases the risk of contracting disease. Since July 2024, over 100,000 confirmed cases have been reported attributed to the ingestion of contaminated food or water. Authorities warn of the urgent need to implement measures to tackle this health emergency, which poses a risk to the lives of over 230,000 people. And Italy is reporting 173 cases of West Nile virus infection. Italy's Higher Health Institute says that at least 16 people have died from the virus so far. They say that the cases detected in the Lazio and Campania regions among blood donors were 72 developed encephalitis, 85 only had a fever, and 14 remain asymptomatic. Health officials say the situation is being closely monitored by the concerned institutions both centrally and locally. And in Japan, Nagasaki City commemorates the 80th anniversary of the devastating nuclear bombing carried out by the United States that claimed tens of thousands of lives in 1945. The event took place in Nagasaki Peace Park, where a minute of silence was observed at 11:02 a.m. local time, the exact time of the detonation of the Fat Man bomb. The ceremony was attended by Japanese authorities and family members of survivors. During his speech, Mayor Suzuki Shiro urged world leaders to come up with a plan to totally get rid of nuclear weapons. August 9th, 1945, 3 days after attacking Hiroshima, the U.S. Army dropped another nuclear bomb on Nagasaki. It is estimated that the total number of deaths from both bombings and their aftermath amounts to 400,000 people. And at this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.